Haftarat P'kudei. Hiram made the ash pots, shovels, and sprinkling basins. With that, Hiram completed all the work he had done for King Shlomo in the house of Adonai. The 2 columns, the 2 moldings of the capitals on top of the columns, the 2 nettings covering the 2 moldings of the capitals atop the columns, the 400 pomegranates for the 2 nettings, 2 rows of pomegranates for each netting, to cover the 2 moldings of the capitals atop the columns, the 10 trolleys, the 10 basins on the trolleys, the 1 sea, the 12 oxen under the sea, the ash pots, the shovels, and the sprinkling basins. All these articles that Hiram made for King Shlomo in the house of Adonai were of burnished bronze. The king cast them in the plain of the Yarden, in the clay ground between Sukkot and Tzartan. Shlomo did not weigh any of these objects because there were so many of them. Thus the total weight of the bronze could not be determined. Shlomo made all the objects that were inside the house of Adonai: the gold altar, the table of gold on which the showbread was displayed, the menorahs, 5 on the right and 5 on the left in front of the sanctuary, of pure gold, the flowers, lamps, and tongs of gold, the cups, snuffers, basins, incense pans, and fire pans of pure gold, and the hinges of gold, both those for the doors of the inner house, the especially holy place, and those for the doors of the house, that is, of the temple. Thus all the work that King Shlomo did in the house of Adonai was finished. After this, Shlomo brought in the gifts which David his father had dedicated, the silver, the gold, and the utensils, and put them in the treasuries of the house of Adonai. Then Shlomo assembled all the leaders of Israel, all the heads of the tribes, and the chiefs of the paternal clans of the people of Israel, to King Shlomo in Jerusalem, to bring the ark for the covenant of Adonai out of the city of David, also known as Zion. All the men of Israel assembled before King Shlomo at the festival in the month of Etanim, the 7th month. All the leaders of Israel came. The Kohanim took the ark and brought up the ark of Adonai, the tent of meeting, and all the holy utensils that were in the tent. These are what the Kohanim and Leviim brought up. King Shlomo and the whole community of Israel assembled in his presence were with him in front of the ark, sacrificing sheep and oxen in numbers beyond counting or recording. The Kohanim brought the ark for the covenant of Adonai into its place inside the sanctuary of the house, to the especially holy place, under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread out their wings over the place for the ark, covering the ark and its poles from above. The poles were so long that their ends could be seen from the holy place in front of the sanctuary, but they could not be seen from outside. They are there to this day. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tablets of stone which Moshe put there at Horeb, when Adonai made the covenant with the people of Israel at the time of their leaving the land of Egypt. When the Kohanim came out of the holy place, the cloud filled the house of Adonai, so that because of the cloud, the Kohanim could not stand to perform their service, for the glory of Adonai filled the house of Adonai. Shlomo said, Adonai said he would live in thick darkness, but I have built you a magnificent house, a place where you can live forever. Then the king turned around and blessed the whole community of Israel. The whole community of Israel stood as he said, Blessed be Adonai, the God of Israel, who spoke to my father David with his mouth and fulfilled his promise with his hand. He said, Since the day I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I chose no city from any of the tribes of Israel in which to build a house, so that my name might be there. But I did choose David to be over my people Israel. Now it was in the heart of David my father to build a house for the name of Adonai, the God of Israel. But Adonai said to David my father, Although it was in your heart to build a house for my name, and you did well that it was in your heart, nevertheless you will not build the house. Rather, you will father a son, and it will be he who will build the house for my name. Now Adonai has fulfilled this spoken word of his. For I have succeeded my father, and sit on the throne of Israel, as Adonai promised, and I have built the house for the name of Adonai, the God of Israel. And there I have made a place for the ark containing the covenant of Adonai, which he made with our ancestors when he brought them out of the land of Egypt.